Hi guys, it's Dom here from Soundsphere Magazine and Gimme a Hull. Yeah, just had a wonderful chat with British wrestling legend Doug Williams about coming out of retirement, wrestling post-pandemic and loads more. So thank you so much for watching. Give it up for Doug and we'll see you again really soon. Take it easy. What's going to happen like when you, because it's really interesting to get this insight into your career, because obviously you've gone back into wrestling after a legendary career in British and international stuff. So what's going to happen? Because you contracted to Ring of Honor, I believe, still.
Yeah, I am. I'm contracted with them until the end of the year. So
Right.
I spoke to them briefly, and it's all up in the air
Yeah.
until it's possible to go there and come back without any quarantine. Then, they're not really looking. I mean, they've got four. They've got me, Joe Hendry, Haskins, and Session Moth Martina.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're all wanting to get back there, but they're not building us in yet, just at the moment. They
Yeah.
should give it a month. They'll have an idea, a plan of what they want to do. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, man. I spoke to Joe about 4 weeks ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he was itching to get back. So,
Well, yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he
yeah.
is.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And yeah, honestly, like it's so cool to speak to you. I know you've been doing a bunch of interviews and stuff, so thank you for making the time.
Right.
I think the first thing is I wanted to say I spoke to the guy called Dan Reed from Eve Pro Wrestling yesterday. I
Yeah.
do some stuff with him. He sends his best wishes and regards. And then the guy that I do my podcast with, the wrestling-based podcast, which is part of what the music-based stuff we do here.
Mm.
He does the lights for NGW, and he says you
Wow.
probably don't remember him, but he sends to send his best anyway. And he said you've
That's
always done
nice.
some good
That's
shows,
nice.
yeah. So that's
Dan did
cool.
actually send me a voicemail message on WhatsApp a few days ago as well. So
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I
he
see
must have
Dan.
realised. He must have realised he had my number. Then he sent me a message.
Yeah. I see
Okay.
Dan once a week. Yeah, like
Okay.
at least now because we he comes on our streams and stuff because we do like like watch alongs and stuff of the Eve Pro Wrestling thing, and then we just kind of built a nice relationship with him there. So it's been really cool. But yeah, again, it must be so cool for you to have that legacy where you are known and respected, not just in the US with Ring of Honor and obviously you've done Impact, you've done all the indies and stuff over there, but also here. And I guess the first question I have for you, mate, is how do you define success? What does it mean to you? Because I guess people look at you, we work with young people quite a lot, people that struggle with mental health and struggle that, with perception of success. I want to be a world traveling wrestler. I want to do this. I want to be like Doug Williams. But and their perception of success is going to be different to yours and how you define it. So yeah, in short, how do you define success? What does it mean to you?
Well, success is achieving whatever goals you set for yourself, whether they're small goals or whether they're large goals. If you achieve them, then that in itself is success as far as I'm concerned. And I've set myself many goals in wrestling over the span of my career, and I would say that I've been a success in the majority of those. And obviously, then overarching that is the fact that I've had a long career, and I managed to sustain myself for a period of time as a professional wrestler, and leave a lasting impression on fans, and put out some classic matches which are there for everybody to see. So to me, I mean that is success really. Having some level of notoriety within British wrestling as well.
Mm.
Um, definitely all goals that I wanted and all things I've achieved, and that's ultimately what success is, isn't it? Achieving
Yeah,
your goals.
that's a good way of looking at it, and I
Yeah.
guess that's the main. One of the other things I wanted to ask. I know you've talked
Mm.
about mental health in interviews before, and I'm
Mm.
going to sort of obviously we'll come back to the wrestling side of it, but again with regards to achieving goals and motivations, if you've
Mm.
had a rough day or you're struggling, you've been at work and then you've got other things to do and you may be struggling a bit. There's a lot of young people I work with that again struggle to find motivation and struggle to
Mm.
find tips from people like yourselves, inspirational people, you know, to cope with mental health. And I wanted to ask you, what motivates you outside of the wrestling ring? What is it that gets you out of bed if you're having a rough day, and if you're comfortable talking about it? You know, do you have rough days? Because again, the perception of Doug Williams is probably very, you know, somewhat different, at least, to the reality.
I mean, especially pertinent within the past year and the creation in lockdown. But yeah, no, I've had very rough days where I haven't wanted to get out of bed or do anything with my life. And I think really, you have to take a, I wouldn't say a less take a less selfish attitude. Have a look at other people around and how you might be affecting them as well, and have consideration for how they might be feeling. And you know, to me, what motivates me to get up every morning is that I have something productive to do with my day that affects a great many people. It just doesn't affect me, you know. And you might say, oh well, that's pressure on you to you know, to do something that has a wider effect, you know, a wider influence. But it still motivates me. I think about the people I might let down during the course of the day if I don't do anything. You know what I mean? I want to maintain good relationships with people. I want to make people feel happy and satisfied and content with the contribution I make to their lives as well as my own. And I think that's what kind of motivates me every day to get up, you know, and do something. You know, and there's days when I don't. There's days when I do have to take time out. You know, just sit back and try and relax and you know, fill my day with things that I enjoy doing. You know, whether it be reading or watching TV or just stuff that doesn't take any thought or effort. But you need those days every now and then. Definitely a reset, so to speak.
Absolutely. Reset day is nice. So what is it that what is it that you're reading? What is it you're watching? You know, before we go up onto your, you know, the wrestling stuff, what is it you're reading and watching at the moment that is allowing you to relax, to take that time?
I mean, well, it's quite funny. I'm reading a mixture of books at the moment, but I'm reading Buddy Rogers' autobiography. You know, he's a classic, and I've got the Andre the Giant one lined up after that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm a big fan of kind of I don't know what genre that you call them, but like do you know, like the what's he called? I can't even think of the name of him now. That's terrible, isn't it? But I like kind of action thrillers where it's kind of a loner guy who goes around solving problems, and he's had some army background or he used to be part of the Secret Service. I'm reading a great book at the moment. It's John Milton is the name of the character, and it's a series,
right?
But it's all that kind of kick-ass kind of, you know, helping people out in bad situations and utilising his skills from you know, the past. Wow, what's the name of the series I watched? And Tom Cruise starred in the film, which I was really angry about.
I'm trying to think. It's one. It might come to you. It might come to you if it pops up in your head.
That's kind of things I read. As for TV, you're gonna hate this, but I love trashy.
No.
I love really trashy
Don't worry about it.
TV shows and stuff that's pretty, you know, so easy to watch and you just laugh at. I like cheap game shows. I like, you know, I like RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, look at RuPaul. Yeah.
But I love The Apprentice. That's probably my favourite TV show because it's so ridiculous. You know, so I do watch some higher brow stuff as well, but I just want to be entertained when I watch television. I just want to forget about other things. I don't want to think too hard about it. I just want to watch, you know, watch what I want to watch and be entertained. Films are different. Films, I enjoy really good films that you can get into and be invested in characters and have a good plot and storyline. And some of my favourite, I mean, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. He is a really intelligent choice of films. Yeah. Matthew McConaughey as well. Again, his choice of films are so intelligent and you know, so diverse. I just love the kind of movies that those guys make.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a rounded view of you know, of my out of the wrestling leisure time, I suppose, if you want to call it that.
I appreciate it. Absolutely do.
That's the name of the character. Sorry.
No, carry on.
Jack Reacher, that's the name of the character.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah, I love his books. Fantastic. You know, he's a character. He's not the author, obviously, the character in the books. But those books, I love him. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I've got into a bunch of like action stuff over the day. One of my favorite films I've watched, or a series of films, was The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. It's like
Okay, okay.
the action.
I'm old enough to remember the original series. Edward
Oh,
Wood.
cool. Is that? I didn't know it was an original series. I'll have to check it out. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a
Awesome, man. Yeah.
long time ago.
Matthew McConaughey's got a podcast as well now.
Oh, is he?
He's
Okay.
got a podcast. Yeah, you can go on YouTube, and he started a podcast. I'm gonna check it out actually. I've
Well,
got
I'm
to
very
do.
reluctant to listen to things like that because sometimes you find the person behind the actor, maybe their views and politics and
True.
things like that don't necessarily, synchronize with your own, and then you get a little bit disappointed. But I might check it out anyway. I might be pleasantly surprised.
True. I don't know. There's something to that, meet your heroes thing, or kind of get to know your heroes and stuff. I guess people have done that with you, and obviously, like, when you get interviewed, people are like, "Oh, you're really down to earth," and that's something I'm quite fascinated with. Is people's perception versus reality. When you've wrestled some of your heroes, you've become a hero to many wrestlers. What's it like to, I guess, again, the perception when you've met people, versus what you thought of them before you met them, when you've wrestled. I mean, there's countless names that I could list, but is there, do you get that in the wrestling world where you have a perception of a wrestler and a performer, and then when you meet them and you work with them and you're calling stuff in the ring, it's like super relaxed, but even you, with all your experience, was there a time when you were nervous to work with anyone because of your perception?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, when I was younger and less experienced, it was far more nerve wracking. As I got older, really, you just come to view your peers as your peers, and you don't already have any preconceptions. The only thing that ever kind of fascinated me whenever I met someone, who was famous in wrestling or they're well known for being a wrestler, is are they actually as good in the ring as fans perceive them to be? Because as a wrestler, when you're in there wrestling them, it's a very different. Your idea of what makes a good wrestler is very, very different to what the fans might think or see, and that's what I'm always fascinated by. This guy's got a fantastic reputation, but is he really that good of a wrestler? We'll find out. Find out when I get in there with him.
Yeah.
And that's what's always interesting to me.
Yeah. Is it because I heard you say in a recent interview you were talking about NXT UK and all these different promotions, and someone asked you what you look for in a younger guy coming up, and it's the storytelling and the building of the match.
Yeah, of course.
And I wanted to sort of ask you, is there anybody out there at the moment? I know you don't. I remember you saying you don't necessarily watch a ton of wrestling at the moment. Just I think it was AEW and NXT. But is there anybody that exemplifies that storytelling for you? Somebody at the moment that can tell a really good story that you look at and go, that guy's got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys in there, and they might be new to the scene, but I've known them a long time. Walter is a classic example of someone who understands his character perfectly, understands his size, gets the story of the match over. It's quite brutal, but I understand. Understand him. I understand totally his character, and everything he does reinforces that. So Walter definitely. A lot of the younger guys are just so good. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Those guys, they understand the art of the selling and the storytelling and working it into modern matches. Those guys are great. It's really good to see them coming through. Definitely.
Absolutely, they're amazing talents, and I guess because I came to you through Impact and sort of seeing you team up with Magnus and those guys, and it was cool to see you in a very different style of character. You had a very different vibe, but then you've obviously always had the classic wrestler, the great techniques. I watched you with Nathan Cruz at an NGW show. I watched one of those matches, and it's great to see the diversity that you've been able to portray over the years. I guess as a direct question, what's the best story you feel like you've told in the ring?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, I think I really helped get over the anti-X Division character at the time because I had great fun doing that. It was the first opportunity I really had to cut promos, you know, and put a distinctive character over and then work it into the matches. So I think that's probably my favourite run of being a certain character, you know. Because before then I was always just the wrestler's wrestler, wasn't I? I was the guy that went out and had the great matches, and it always made me laugh. Like the first 15 years of my career, people thought I couldn't cut promos, and it's just like, well, I can, but I've never actually had the need to do it so much. You know, in England there isn't any televised wrestling, so why, you cut promo in the ring, totally different to cutting it on camera. But it's like, yeah, I've never needed to. So, and when that time came in TNA and Impact, I was given the opportunity and I ran with it, and it was successful for the time I was there.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's, being able to tell a story, and that's it. When you're used to like doing matches and doing the independent circuit again, did you have difficulty adapting? Because I know you said it was the first time you got a chance to do promos, but did you have a difficulty adapting to that way of life? Because I guess you're in a different country, you're dealing with a different, you've got to cut promos. Was it not a culture shock? Because again, you've traveled around, but what were the challenges of adapting to that style and that way of life and that time in your life? I guess very different, I imagine, to traipsing up the M62, for example, to go and do a show in Hull.
I mean, it wasn't that difficult because I'd already been internationally. I was always traveling anyway to Japan. I've been in Ring of Honor. I went to Europe a lot. So the flying about and all that, malarkey was what I was used to. Most of the challenges that I faced, I suppose, were within the context of what I had to do when I was in TNA. And, you have your short TV matches where you don't play to the audience that are there. You're playing to the cameras. You've got to work a very short match and get the story that you want to tell into 5-6 minutes. It was things like that. The six-sided ring was a challenge. Never wrestled in a six-sided ring before. Obviously, that caused a few issues, I guess, in the onset, and then obviously you get used to it over time. The whole style of you get to TV at noon and you have your lunch, and then you spend the whole afternoon filming promos, filming vignettes. Being in your character all day before you're even on TV. Before you're performing. Those are the things. Those are the challenges that I faced. And I adapted pretty quickly because obviously I had an understanding of what I needed to do. But those are the sort of things that I faced really when I first got there. And I adapted quickly, so that's fine.
Absolutely, man. And I guess that's one of the things. I think it's really entertaining. Really interesting to look back at that time in your life. And I'm not sure you're a big person to kind of dwell, look back too often. But as somebody that's achieved so much, and again, I use the word achieve because that's my perception of you. So, sure. But what is left for you to do? What is left? What goals do you have? Not trying to be like cheesy. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years' time? But what do you want to do? Like, is there anything you haven't done that you want to do?
There's a couple of things there, and the first thing is just to establish myself with the American fan base, because I had that run in TNA. I mean, I kind of had 2 years in the wilderness when I didn't. When I went to OVW, then they released me. I came back to England, rebuilt my legacy over here, and up to a point where I went into my retirement, and really what I'd like to do in the next couple of years is just rebuild my connection with the US fans, the American fans, remind them who Doug Williams is and what he's capable of. And just show them what I can do again. And coupled with that, I'd love to have I've never really had the opportunity for a world title match, whatever world title it may be. I've never really ever had that opportunity, so maybe that will be something I can look forward to in the future as well. I wouldn't say I'll look forward to winning one, but I would look forward to challenging and having a title match.
Yeah. It's interesting. We mentioned Magnus. One of the
Yeah,
best chats I ever had was with Nick Aldis. I
yeah,
noticed he tweeted with much joy that you would return the other day, and a
sure,
bunch of other people.
yeah.
I mean, we're being a bit cheeky, as you know, for after your contract with Ring of Honor. Has anybody reached out to you for anything, to propose anything?
There's been a few brief conversations, but as I say,
Yeah.
you know, and, it's all
Up in
a
the air.
contractual issue at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, fingers crossed for you. You know, I think it's going to be amazing. Last few questions, then. I think, you know, Ring of Honor. I've really just started getting into Ring of Honor the last few months. Because I've been, you know, considering, you know, ways to get more involved with them. You know, like just watching shows. You know, doing some interviews and stuff. I really like what they're doing. How are you looking forward to getting back over there? And I guess, what does it mean to you after your retirement to still have, you know, that connection with such a wonderful, you know, promotion that really champions quality wrestling?
Well, I touched on it briefly before. It means a hell of a lot to me, just purely because I have that chance to go there and perform in front of those fans again,
Mm.
and let them remind them of who I was, you know, when I was in Ring of Honor 15, 20 years ago, and bring my style of British style technical wrestling back to them, which I hope they appreciate. And yeah, to be able to do it for Ring of Honor, a company that I was there at the very start of, and come back and work with, and they've got such a wealth of talented guys there. I know it's just going to be great fun, and it's going to be good. So yeah, I look forward to that once those flights are open again and the borders are open. You know.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I've got a bunch of friends in Boston in the US, so I can't wait to go back over. So
Yeah, I'm
again,
sure. Yeah, yeah,
trying to attend some shows would be great.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you as well, like, are you careful now, since you've come back, how your character's going to be, well, your persona and your legacy is going to be perceived? Have you had those conversations of how you'd like to be perceived, or are you kind of leaving it in, you know, are you leaving
Uh,
that for other people?
yeah, I'm leaving it kind of on you know, I'm leaving it open. I mean, I've obviously have the legacy of helping keeping the British scene going during its rougher times and being there during its resurgence, you know,
Mm,
and of the legacy of exposing the British scene on a global scale at a time when it wasn't really identified or recognised as such.
mm,
And really, my legacy now, or what I hope to achieve now, is helping rebuild the scene, because I
mm,
think it needs a little bit of a push once we come back out of lockdown. So I'm going to be there to help the younger talent develop, help promoters and push their product and just rebuild it up to what it was before lockdown occurred.
mm.
That's really my main goal, aside from you know, the more selfish goal of wanting to re-establish myself in front of the American fans. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's an interesting goal. You know, interesting set of goals there. Again, sort of going to reuse that word, challenges. You know,
mm.
a lot of people are booking shows. A lot of people are, you know, preemptively booking shows and getting ready, and it's an exciting time. What do you perceive the challenges? Not necessarily trying to put you on a pedestal as a spokesperson for the UK scene, or
Yeah.
certainly that's not my intention. What do you see as the biggest challenges now for British wrestling as we go post pandemic, and I guess as more eyes are on the scene with, you know, the great talent you mentioned out there, you know, and yourself going to go abroad and promote it? What are the biggest challenges we're gonna have as you know, the British wrestling community is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a challenge across all genres of entertainment, not just wrestling. It's just getting people into the venue, you know,
Mm,
sufficient numbers in order for shows to make money and for business to boom, you know,
mm,
for business to grow. It's going to be with wrestling. It's on an independent level. It's a live event product, isn't it? It's
mm,
all about the live events, and it's getting people in there. Are people going to be scared about going to shows, or is it going to be the opposite? Is there going to be a surge of fans and everybody wants to come? We don't know at the moment how it's going to play out, and I think this is, you know, the risks the promoters are taking by booking and announcing these shows. Obviously, could be restrictions again and things get cancelled. It could be slow on the uptake with people who are very cautious to go out. Um, I mean, those are things that are outside my control. They're outside of the promoter's control. All we can do is hope for the best. And so are they challenges? I don't know. It's more a wait and see, isn't it? More a gamble at this stage. A gamble that's kind of in our favour, given that, you know, there are definitive dates on lockdown and the vaccination program is all going smoothly. It's running well. So the latter half of the year, September, October, November, fingers crossed, it should be good again.
Absolutely. Firmly crossed. Absolutely. Before we finish up, I wanted to, because I'm doing a lot of reflection with people I'm speaking to, and talking about how obviously people have changed and developed over their career. And I kind of wanted to ask you, given that you've, you know, what have you learned about yourself, I guess, from the beginnings of your career? And this could be personally as well as professionally, right? But what have you learned about yourself? How have you changed and developed from the very beginnings of your career as a wrestler until this point?
I definitely learned to be less. I mean, I was quite introverted when I started, and you know, I mean, I was all about the fact that I was a pretty good athlete, and I was very interested in the mechanics and the sports side of wrestling. But I've obviously learned to grow and appreciate the character side, and be a little bit more open and more kind of, you know, flamboyant with my characters and the selling and everything I do. In that respect, I'm much more comfortable walking out in front of an audience. I don't get nervous about doing that anymore. In fact, I look forward to it and the interactions that occur because of that. I think that's how I've grown as a person, really, is that I've come much more out of my shell through wrestling. And it's reflected in other parts of my life. I don't mind doing public speaking. I can ad-lib if I need to in certain situations. I'm not afraid to approach a situation and deal with it verbally anymore, whereas I might have, you know, thought twice about it 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I think that's how personal growth, that's really how it's affected me.
Absolutely. I think that's a good bit of reflection there, Doug. And I guess, to finish off, obviously we've got your social media, so we'll put all that stuff in descriptions and things. What message have you got for the people that have stuck with you through your career? And also, I guess, for the people yet to find out about your work?
My message is to make sure you get to the shows when you're allowed to and you're available. Come and see not just myself wrestling, but all the guys now that are going to put 100% effort into rebuilding the British scene. Obviously, I'll be there, hopefully at the forefront, leading people on, and you're going to learn a lot about Doug Williams, the wrestler. Again, if you don't already know.
Very nice, man. Very nice. That's awesome. Well, thank you, honestly, so much for taking the time out for me, mate. I really appreciate it. And
no worries, Dom. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, look forward to speaking to you again. Absolutely.